For homeowners, we love to dream about improvements we would love to make to our property. Then we have to dial it back to what we can afford. Our next guest says he's ready to work with your budget. This segment is sponsored by Easton Outdoors, and Micah Miller is the managing member, and he joins us with more on improving your outdoor living spaces. Micah, welcome back to the Hampton Roads Show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so when we were getting ready for this segment, we wanted to know exactly what topic you wanted to start this entire segment with.
Yep.
And you kind of cut right to the chase with things and said, let's talk money. Yeah. How much does it cost? So is that the question you get asked most?
It's not the question I get asked the most, but what I do find is it ends up being a little bit of a taboo subject. People don't like to talk about the money. They like to see the picture and then they're like, I want this in my yard, but hold on a second, how much is that going to cost me?
Right.
So a lot of times we end up in a space and they're trying to figure out how far can they get it. And so there's a series of pictures that are actually going to play here in a minute, and all of those pictures are actually in that $10,000 to $15,000 range.
Wow.
Yep.
So you can really do a lot with 10 to 15 grand to update your outdoor space. And even before this segment, you and I were talking about some of your clients will come in and say, hey, you know, I really want this. They know what they want. But for those clients like, say, me,
right.
I know I want a fire pit and a little stone walkway, but I don't know how to achieve that and make that look beautiful.
Right. So that's my favorite part. So a lot of times we'll end up in somebody's space and they're telling me kind of how they're going to use the yard and what it's going to be. And so I start by painting out the space on the ground for them to envision it. And then sometimes we'll even grab furniture from the yard, pull it over into this spray painted area. We'll set the furniture up, and then you're able to envision how it would look, how it would feel, what it would look like from inside, from the yard, and how you would actually interact with the space. It's really fun.
And so you mentioned that sometimes people dial things back, or they want to know what 10 to 15,000 can get them. And yes, we will look at some of those photos in a second, but can some of these outdoor spaces be done in phases?
Yes. So a fair amount of time we'll come up with a design, like I'll paint out, or we'll talk about this larger vista and all these things that you want to see in your yard and people want to have. And sometimes it's just a little bit unachievable. Maybe at that time, or maybe you just kind of want to live with it and see how you will experience the space and how you use it. So frequently we'll say, okay, we're going to do the fire pit now, and then we'll add the kitchen later. Or we'll do the fire pit now, and we'll add a water feature right next to it later. And we'll kind of build those spaces out in modulars, and it doesn't cost any more to do it like that. It just makes it very kind of like segmented and very affordable.
Exactly. And then you get to appreciate each space as it slowly comes into play. I love this. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of these pictures right now. And Micah, you mentioned that they all will cover that $10,000 to $15,000 budget.
So every picture you're about to see, maybe not the whole space, but look at what is highlighted in each picture, and you'll see. So here's a pond that you're looking at right now. That pond as a turnkey price is right at $15,000. Landscaping, waterfall, that's a 10 by 14 koi pond. So you can kind of see how that whole space right there falls right inside that $15,000 budget. Here's a 14-foot stream with a bowl on the side, some lighting and landscaping. Here's some bowls with a walkway. So all of these land somewhere in that $10,000 to $15,000 price range. And you can just kind of see how these would change your space, change how you would live outside, change how you would enjoy, you know, the outdoors.
But what I like about this is it's not just a water feature that you're putting in, you're putting the landscaping around it. You're creating this peaceful space for people to go out and enjoy, like this space, for instance.
Yep.
With the fire pits, because anyone can go to Home Depot or whatever and go and buy a fire pit and stick it right there in their backyard. But to actually create a space that's livable, that's enjoyable, that's where you guys come in.
Right, that's inviting. That's kind of the goal, is that you, even if you don't use the space, if we set it up so that you can see it from your inside, you know, even if you're not out there every single day, just being able to look out your window and see the space out there is gonna lower your cortisol level just because you're looking at it through your window.
Right, and look how beautiful this patio is right there, with the brick walkway to the fire pit. And is this one of those outdoor kitchens you were mentioning?
This is, yep. So some granite. You see a built-in grill that's plumbed in via gas, and then of course they're lit up at night so that you don't have to have bright spotlights on you while you're outside. It's just a nice subtle light so you're able to see where your feet are and what you're cooking.
This is awesome. We were looking at grills this weekend, and I was like, hey, we can build brick around this and make it into something even cooler. And my husband's like, no, honey, I don't think that's the way it works. You need to call the professionals for that. And that's what you guys specialize in is really making your dreams and your visions come to life.
That's right.
Is this a putt-putt course?
Of course. I did some fun things with this one where we took the base grade and we made all kinds of like curves and contours in it. And we've tried to make it as difficult as possible so you can't get that ball in the hole.
I love it. Did the owners know that?
They did. I didn't tell him at first, but he was playing it over the weekend one time, and he was like, man, this is a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. I was like, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, Micah, real quick, how long does it typically take to create a space like this?
So usually 1 to 3 days. We're in and out.
Stop.
Yep. It's really quick.
I feel like I'm watching HGTV.
Yep. Yep.
A project like that, DIY, would take you months, if not years.
Yep.
So thank you so much, Micah. We enjoyed having you on today's show.
Thank you. This
segment of the Hampton Roads Show is sponsored by Easton Outdoors. The Easton Outdoors is located on McGuire Place in Newport News. Give them a call at 757-262-3232 or visit easton-outdoors.com and check out more photos on social media for inspiration. They're on Facebook and Instagram at Easton Outdoors LLC.